So that is the hymn we'll be talking about tonight, Because He Lives. And as always, I encourage you to leave your hymnals open as we look at it and as we learn about it. You'll see, as you look down in the fine print, who wrote the words and the music. It is Bill and Gloria Gaither. So, let's talk about who Bill and Gloria Gaither were. It's probably a couple that you've heard before. You've probably heard many of their songs, maybe seen them on TV a lot. So let's learn a little bit about who they were and are. They are both still living, and about the songs that they wrote, and about this one in particular. So Gloria Gaither grew up in southern Michigan. Bill Gaither grew up in central Indiana. He was always singing at church and out in the community and with his family. They both went to Anderson College, a private school founded by the Church of God. It's now Anderson University, and it's in like the middle of Indiana. Bill Gaither is 6 years older than Gloria, so they didn't run into each other at college, but after Gloria graduated from college, she took a job at a nearby high school teaching French. Also teaching at that high school was Bill Gaither. He was teaching English. So that's where they met, at the high school where I think Bill Gaither himself had grown up and gone to high school. They met, they got married soon after, and they almost immediately began writing and performing music together. They would help with evangelism events. And eventually, by now, fast forward, they composed over 700 songs. Often, Gloria would write the words and Bill Gaither would write the music, but they definitely worked collaboratively at the same time working on it. But it seems like Gloria was gifted in words and Bill was gifted in music, and they would help each other and collaborate. Bill Gaither's brother Danny would sing with them too sometimes as the Gaither Trio starting in the 60s. Later they would invite other famous singers and form the Gaither Vocal Band, which I think is still performing to this day. And they would produce the Gaither Homecoming video series as their ministry grew. Their first big hit gospel song was He Touched Me in 1964, and I think the king himself might have sang He Touched Me. I think Elvis helped make that one a little bit more famous. He touched me, oh, he touched me, oh, the joy that fills my soul. Something happened, then I know. A good, lovely classic. Others that they wrote that are also classics, or as the kids would say, bangers. There's something about that name. There's something about Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. They also wrote The Family of God. I'm so glad to be part of the family of God. So kind of shorter. They didn't have kind of a lot of stanzas or verses. Some of the choruses that they wrote, and those are also in the White Hymnal as well as some others. Familiar with those? Everybody heard those kind of classics? Yeah, those were the ones that I would kind of rank as their most well-known, that I was most familiar with. And good ones that are easily repeatable, and they've just got kind of a loveliness about them. Co-heirs with Jesus as we travel this far. I'm so glad we're part. So this song, our hymn tonight, Because He Lives, was published in 1971. At the time, 1971, the Gaithers felt like recent events then had been especially scary and uncertain events in the country and in the world. So they said injustice around the world, betrayals of national trust, bigotry, and greed, all situated on a nuclear powder keg, the fuse of which is well within the reach of men who may be lacking in sound moral judgment and personal integrity. War has monopolized the headlines, and into this world we were bringing our third little baby. Then the assurance of the lordship of the risen Christ blew across our troubled minds, and holding our tiny son in our arms, we were able to write these words. So how interesting that this lovely, beautiful hymn was inspired by such fear and uncertainty. We heard all the bad news that they referenced there, and reading all that, it made me think, gosh, some things never change. It's like humans are always human. We live in a fallen world. So a lot of those things that were worrying them as new parents then also worry us now, especially new parents as they bring new children into the world and think, what kind of world is this that I'm bringing my child in? But, like they said, across their minds, their troubled minds, blew the assurance of the lordship of Christ. So how might this hymn or other hymns help give you some peace when the news is full of people causing sadness every day? It feels like these days with 24-hour news, online news, we can always hear something bad. So how might this hymn, feel free to kind of skim over the words a little bit, how might this hymn be a response to that or a comfort for those times in that news?
Knowing that people have gone through the same thing.
Yeah. People have gone through the same things, scary times before. Jesus was Lord of all then. Jesus is Lord of all now. Yeah. When we read the words in detail, you will definitely notice how they were inspired to write this when their third child was born. If you're skimming over the words, you can see that verse for sure. And since it was written in 1971, kind of in response to what we might call more modern uncertainty, kind of modern times of war and politics and suffering and racism. So this hymn is more modern than some of the other hymns that we've looked at. Some have been 100, 200, 300 years old, older than the country, going back hundreds of years. And as always, when someone writes a new hymn with a new kind of music, the younger adults really like it, and the older adults at the time are wary of it because it doesn't sound like what they're used to. And this song definitely hit that criticism of newness. So one of the sources I've been using to learn about the hymns and the hymn writers we've been studying is a handy book that Chuck loaned to me. It was published in 1988 by the Methodist Church that tells a lot of the stories of the hymns that are in their hymnal. And of course, our hymnal and the Methodist hymnal is going to be very similar. So I would say a great majority of their hymns and our hymns would be in both hymnals. So it's been a very helpful book, published in 1988. And in the 80s, apparently the Methodists also put out an updated supplement to their hymnal, like a smaller kind of additional hymn booklet that wasn't kind of as big, but had some newer songs in it. And I say kind of songs in quotes because we learned that over the last 300 years, people would call the old stuff hymns and the new stuff songs. So whatever something new that was written, it would be called a gospel song, like it wasn't quite a hymn yet. So in 1988, in the book that the Methodists put out about their hymnal, it said the following: the supplement to our hymnal contains hymns and songs that can be termed popular and that could be described as having a commercial sound. The contemporary gospel song, Because He Lives, is a representative of songs that demonstrate a return to the messages and styles of the revival era. This genre of song has its roots in the gospel hymns of the early 20th century, with its emphasis on personal experience and holiness. Musically, the newer form has been shaped by the popular music of the day. It is a religious version of current pop and country styles and instrumentation. What do you think? Would you say that's an accurate description of this song? It's kind of odd to think of it, to us, a classic, as one of the newer songs. That was a reflection of pop styles at the time.
I don't think it reflects the style of the time.
Right, it's like whose style? Yeah,
I mean, there's lots of styles
Mhm,
at that time, singers, songwriters to rock.
yeah, yeah. It doesn't sound like
But
the
doesn't
Who
sound-
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beatles.
yeah, it's only the Beatles. Yeah, yeah.
In the context in which that writer is writing, I think that with the growth of the praise and worship choruses of the 80s and 90s, I think that pop sensibility in that context. I definitely didn't, since I grew up in the 80s, this didn't sound like Guns N' Roses or George Michael or any of that I was listening to, but it definitely did sound like the praise and worship choruses when I'd go with my friend to Merriman Avenue Baptist. So.
Yeah, and again, interesting that at that time, kind of in the 80s, Because He Lives would have been considered a song or a chorus, a praise and worship song, instead of kind of a classic hymn. So what's the difference? Is there a difference between a hymn and a song? Would you call this a hymn or would you call it a song? Which one's this?
Tomato, tomato.
Tomato, tomato, okay. Who calls it a hymn? Raise your hands. Okay, who calls it a song? Raise your hand. Who say it doesn't matter? Okay. Yeah. For me, if it's in a hymnal, I'm gonna call it a hymn. I feel like if some musical piece is in a hymnal, I'm okay with calling it a hymn. And there are different kinds of hymns. Some are choruses that are shorter and are repeated. Some have stanzas, some are refrains. But definitely you can hear that this would be a different musical styling than the ones written like 300 years before. Think of like, a mighty fortress is our God, ever. That kind of like strong organ pound that really sounds kind of old to Europe, Gothic architecture, cathedral. Whereas this one, it does sound a little different. It's a little kind of smoother and softer. Dun, 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 dun. Something you could hear on like a Lawrence Welk kind of program. So interesting as always to hear and see the evolution and the development of music that's sung in churches, or music that's sung for worship, whether you call them hymns, whether you call them gospel songs, music that's used to worship God. It's going to sound different if it's written today or 1971 or in 1671, because at all times, anyone who writes music is going to be alive presently. Make sense? And so if we were to write some music, we would be inspired by the music that we know and that we grew up. So in that sense, any music that's written is an expression in some way of the time that it was written in. Does anyone have any memories of hearing or singing or being moved by this song? Yes, hand goes straight up. And there's another one. I want to hear both of them. You go first. I know.
There has never been a time in my life when my mother died, my daddy died. This song gave me hope every time that I would sing it. And I can remember one time we were in the choir and I just had to sit down because I was so relieved that I could go on because he lives. And it's such a message to me. It's my favorite song of all.
Oh, good choice. Favorite one. Yeah. When that happened and you had to sit down, was that after your mom had passed away?
And this song it just always gives me so much hope. It's a wonderful, wonderful song. And when we were talking about praise songs, you know, the old rugged cross, I cannot imagine that being a praise song. Anyway. But this one, I can actually hear the cymbals and the drums and the guitars because he lives.
Yeah.
You know, I can hear that.
Uh-huh.
That
Yeah.
it could actually happen.
Yeah, some orchestration with different instruments.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. What about you, Bill? Tell me what you remember about this song. This is a good story.
The first time Wilma and I heard it was on a snowy Sunday morning. It was a deep snow, couldn't get out. This was before four-wheel drives. Well, before we could afford one. Our neighbor up the road had just moved in not long before, and he said, "Come up to the house." He had a grand piano, and he and his wife sang this as a duet. It was the first time we ever heard it. But you know, there's a sermon in every verse.
Every verse.
Mhm.
It tells who Jesus is,
Mhm.
why he came.
Mhm. And what it means for our lives.
Yes.
And then the chorus just caps it off.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
just
it
one of
captures-
the most meaningful songs I can think of.
Me too.
Good choice.
I think the lyrics here capture the true essence of the gospel.
Mhm.
That is Jesus coming. And in that, he coming and dying, that gives us that hope. So it really is a strong message in this song. And I was thinking, maybe you call it a hymn or more contemporary music based on in what worship environment you're singing in. Okay? A more traditional, it'd be hymn. A more contemporary type style of worship, it would be a little different. But it's got a wonderful message. I mean, it's powerful.
Whether it's contemporary or otherwise, it is so powerful.
Yes,
Those
it is.
words are.
The words are
they
just amazing to
Jump
me.
off the page.
It's kind of like how John 3:16 is a great summary, kind of sum up in one verse about Jesus and who he was and what he meant and what he means for us. This hymn as well, it's a good, just great sum up of who Jesus was, what he meant, what he did, and what he means for us.
I've actually written in my choir notebook, if I die suddenly, sing this song for the people who come after me. Because, you know, I'm gone, but they loved me, and this gives them hope.
Mhm. So like at your funeral remembrance?
That would be,
Okay, that's a great choice. That's a great choice, yeah.
Wilma has a comment about the second verse.
Okay, yes, good.
We get RFD TV,
Uh-huh.
Rural Free America, which Wayne heard us into. And the Gaithers are on there occasionally. But, there's a group, Jimmy Fortune, who sang with the Statler Brothers. When he was very young, he had a child that was born with a birth defect. And he said he could not sing that second verse.
To this day, he can't stand.
Oh, wow, that's powerful. Mm.
The chorus sort of lifts you to another plane. It just moves you up the scale on inspiration that brings. It's like you're just climbing, you know? It touches you.
Yeah, Teresa.
Growing up Presbyterian, we didn't, I don't remember ever hearing this, and we didn't really have gospel, it was pretty.
Okay, okay.
But when I was here, and I went with Jim McCoy to Craggy,
Uh-huh.
the inmates would call out, and this was one that every time I ever went to Craggy, because he lives, they would yell out, they knew the number, and it was a different experience. Again, growing up Presbyterian, everything was kind of, just boring, and it was like, whoa, it came alive there at Craggy.
Wow, wow, so every time you would go there at the prison for worship, they would request this hymn. Oh, that is powerful. And, you're right, they would sing very passionately there when they would sing, yeah. Ooh, this is a good one to sing passionately. I'm sorry that the Presbyterians, were not predestined to sing this song when you were growing up. What are you gonna do?
You're the first one chose, so we were happy.
They didn't have a choice.
Do we have to label this? It's just a good song.
Yeah, it is a good song.
It's not, we don't necessarily have to put a label on it. It's not whatever. It's just a powerful song.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with you. However, when any new song comes out, like I said, it seems that there are different kind of age brackets that say, this is a great song, or other ones that say, this doesn't sound like how good songs should sound like. But I think this is a good one.
Yeah.
When did it first go into a Baptist hymnal?
Let's see, it came out in 1971, and so the next Baptist hymnal would have been 1975, and it is in the 1975 hymnal.
So pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah. And this is the 91 hymnal, and so, yeah, it gained popularity very quickly. Bill Gaither helped to start the Gospel Music Association in the 60s and 70s. And that's the association that gives out the Dove Awards for Christian music and Christian recordings and performances. So it was kind of a way to celebrate new songs being written and new writers. And this did win the Dove Award for best new song that year that it came out. And Bill Gaither he got the award for best songwriter 6 years in a row in the 70s when they were really putting out a lot of classic, well-known songs. Yeah. So yeah, the very next Baptist hymnal, it showed up a few years later. As far as Bible verses that connect with this hymn in a good way, again, John 3:16 is a great sum up, just like this hymn is a great sum up of who Jesus was. Also, this hymnal, since it picks a Bible verse that connects with every hymn, it picks John 14:19. So I'll read 3 verses, and I want you to listen how this hymn reflects those verses. So I'll read John 14:19, and then John 11:25, and then Revelation 1:17. So John 14:19. Jesus said, "Before long, the world will not see me anymore, but you will see me. Because I live, you also will live." And 11:25. Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even though he dies." And then Revelation 1:17. Jesus said, "Do not be afraid. I am the first and the last. I am the living one. I was dead, and behold, I am alive forever and ever. And I hold the keys of death and hell." So in those verses, how did you hear this hymn reflecting the meaning and message of those verses? Jesus lived and died and bought our pardon, so that therefore, what's next? Or just what, like, and therefore, we also, yes, we also get to live. Yeah, because he lived and then died and then lived, we also get to live. Yeah. And so I never thought about it, but in the title, because he lives, it's kind of like not the first time when he was, walking around, Sermon on the Mount, healing, because he died. And then he came back and then ascended into heaven. So because he lives, it's kind of like a present tense. It's because he's still living. Because even though he did die, he came back and remains living within us. So it's because he lives now. We can live now and also forever as he lives forever. Yeah. Well, let's read the stanzas very closely. We've talked a lot about a few of them, but let's just read each one separately and think about what they mean to us, what they might have meant to the Gaithers when they were written. So think about their mindset. Remember when they wrote this hymn, they had been very worried about the state of the world and the country, the suffering. They said bigotry, people of unsound moral judgment, lack of integrity, nuclear powder keg, national mistrust, greed. So they were feeling that, but then they had the peace that came with being reminded that Christ is still Lord. And so then they wrote this hymn. So here's the first stanza. I'll just read the stanza. God sent his son. They called him Jesus. He came to love, heal, and forgive. He lived and died to buy my pardon. An empty grave is there to prove my Savior lives. That's pretty straightforward. Not a lot of discussion there. I wonder if anybody has any favorite verses. Like, I know the chorus is definitely kind of the most emotionally powerful part, but if anyone has a favorite verse.
Well, the third verse is so close to me. I'll cross that river, and I'll fight that final war with pain, because we must do. And then death gives way to victory. Wow. I'll see the lights of glory and I'll know he lives. I just love the song.
And we've seen it in a lot of hymns, the final stanza will really kind of turn and look to eternity, to the glory of eternity, to the beauty of heaven. And this one does that third stanza. It's very honest about we'll cross that river, that holy Jordan River. We're done with pain. Our death gives way to our victory. And then we'll see the lights of heaven's glory, and we'll definitely know that he lives. Yeah, that's a very good choice. And then the second stanza, how sweet to hold a newborn baby and to feel the pride and joy he gives, but greater still, the calm assurance this child can face uncertain days because he lives. So what does that mean to you? What might it have meant to them?
I think it's a lesson to all of us that there's a greater calm out there, a greater calm in Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we can face uncertain days too because he lives.
Yeah. I appreciate that honesty, that they're not saying, there won't be any uncertain days, everything's fine because he lives. All your days will be fine because he lives. It's definitely not saying that. It's definitely saying there will be uncertain days, but we can face it, and our newborn baby can face that uncertainty because Jesus lives. I appreciate that honesty.
I think about, cause I was born in 61 and finished high school in 79. And so I think about all the things that were happening that scared me as a child. Like there was the Vietnam War and we saw it every night on the news. And then there was the Nixon impeachment, which my dad watched all of the impeachment. It was televised for the first time. And so it just felt so very uncertain. And riots, race riots, civil
Kennedy's
rights.
dead.
Kennedy's death was, oh yeah.
Both?
Oh yeah. So, and Martin Luther King's death and just, whew. So I remember being in church and singing this song as a girl and that it meant something to me even as a kid because life didn't always feel so safe. I remember thinking, you know, the Russians were coming. And thankfully, if they came, they did it clandestinely. But yeah, it was,
Yeah.
of course, I was an anxious kid, but you know, you see it in the news all the time.
And when kids were having duck and cover drills, just in case a
Absolutely.
nuclear bomb would drop
Right.
outside their school.
Yes,
Yeah.
going into the basement.
And there was a lot to be worried about, like genuine fear, concern, uncertainty. Back then and also now, for sure. So what a pertinent hymn, right? Even for now. It's not like the uncertainty stopped. It's not like, you know, countries stopped causing war. It's not like people stopped hurting each other. Uncertain days will and still happen. And we need this good reminder to give us that calm assurance. I'm so glad that the Gaithers could feel that and have that so that they could enjoy their newborn. It feels like a great kind of hymn for new parents to read and sing, because especially first-time parents, I mean, you're stressed and worried and sleep deprived and just freaked out about everything. And to read this and say, oh, this can be a sweet moment to hold my baby. I can feel the pride and the joy, and that's okay, because I can have a calm assurance that my child will be able to handle and go through and face uncertain days because Jesus, he lives. Jesus is still on the throne, and no amount of wars or riots or racism will stop that. It definitely might make the days more uncertain for sure. Well, then the chorus, and I'll just read the chorus. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future and life is worth the living just because he lives. So definitely, like that's the swell, that's just, it pulls all your emotions with its simple but powerful truth. Although I will say, all fear is gone. I might need to sing this as a reminder to give me a goal to aspire to. Maybe you all have already achieved that goal of all your fear gone. I still have a little bit. And so maybe like the hymn, It Is Well, how it kept echoing. And so we wondered, maybe the hymn writer needed that echo to keep reminding him that it is well, it can be well. I need that reminders. And so for me, this is a good reminder. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Or it can be if I let go of it.
Hey, Stuart, one that helps me is a modern hymn, a contemporary Christian hymn. Fear is a liar. And it says, it personifies it as he will rob your breath, steal your happiness, Fear is a liar.
Fear is a liar.
Yes,
Interesting.
yes. So listen to that.
Okay. So it's a new Christian song now, but in 100 years it'll be a classic
Oh,
hymn.
well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I'll live that long. But that would be cool.
Well, you know, Stuart, if you were writing this song, there are two words that could be, changed for all fear is gone. Most fear is gone. Some fear is gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say maybe all fear can be gone. Yeah.
Your fears let go.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Our fears we can let go.
good one.
Just let go.
Yeah. As always, I think we kind of cling to that kind of stuff a little too hard instead of letting go of those human concerns and clinging instead to the cross, to the rock. Well, I hope the next time that we sing this song, I hope you can remember and let it remind you that it was written in a specific, uncertain time by folks who were having a newborn baby and were relieved by feeling the calm assurance that Jesus is Lord of all and that Jesus lives, he was, and he is to come. Well, we've got just a few more weeks of hymns left to learn about and talk about. So as we kind of start concluding our hymn series, I'll be asking some overview and kind of macro type questions over the next few weeks. Now that we've learned a little more about how hymns get written, how the people were inspired, and so eventually we'll start kind of planning our own worship service, and we'll be picking and choosing some hymns in here and using the hymnal. So before we do that in a few weeks, let's take a step back. Let's say that we were so inspired, that you all were so inspired by this incredible Bible study series you've gotten to hear, that you say, we need to publish our own hymnal right now. Just like in the old days, like in the 1800s, a lot of those hymnals were published by just churches or just preachers or just hymn writers. And so you say, you know what, that sounds great. Everybody's self-publishing their own books now. We're going to publish a hymnal. So, what would you include in that hymnal? How would you put it together? How would you decide what to choose? What would go into the hymnal? What would be your thinking process for picking and choosing?
If you heard what others were saying and talking about and trying to get something for themselves or for someone else, that's one way. They're
Oh.
just trying to help the other one find out what's going on.
That's lovely to hear what other folks are kind of feeling and hearing and thinking. And then pick some hymns that speak to that. Yeah.
Because music is a device that takes text and cements it deeper inside the soul, so it's not just a head thing. I would feel the weight of needing the text to be of import and find its way, that it would be biblically sound and meet the ethos of the time. That would, and then maybe we get to the melody. But if it doesn't matter if it has a great melody if the text is leading us in the wrong direction.
Oh, that's a neat thought to think about. So if you didn't hear, Chuck said he would give more import and focus on the words of the hymns, because it's the words that carry the meaning and the theology, and then make sure that good, fitting, strong music is attached to them. That's good. Would you only include hymns that you know and that you like? Or would you be open to including some that somebody else likes that aren't in your top list?
include those that others like.
Okay.
As long as I like.
It's it would be hard to be on like a hymnal publishing committee, especially if it was all Baptist. Like, get a group of Baptists to agree on what's good to do. I mean, good luck with that. I'm surprised any Baptist hymnals have ever been published. But to decide this one's good enough to include, because you have a limited number of pages, you can't include every spiritual song that's ever been written. You have to choose. What would be your guidelines to choose? I like Chuck's focus on what words give good biblical theology. What would be your guidelines as you chose which hymns to include?
Well, I can't sing love, so I would.
So you would pick high hymn. Well, so don't worry, because you look at the bottom and you see this hymn is in a higher key on number 342. So they got you covered on that. Yeah.
I wonder if those people given that responsibility to put a hymnal together, do they get information on how often those hymns are sung? How are they used? To me, that would be an element probably that they would look at, those people.
Yeah.
How many people like them, how many people don't, but how many are listening to them? So a compilation of, that may be an element that would be included.
That's very smart to do some research and to see, like, if every church is singing Amazing Grace, then we definitely need to include Amazing Grace, something like that, yeah. Yeah, well.
I think what Chuck does sometimes in teaching us a new song, but in looking through the hymnal, most of the familiar songs were written in the 1800s. The ones that were written in the 1900s, I've looked and most of them are not familiar at all, and there's not nearly as many written in the 1900s.
Yeah,
as there is too.
Yeah. Do you mean this hymnal specifically, or both the one upstairs as
I
well?
was just looking through
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and this, because he lives, is one of the more familiar ones written in the 1900s.
Yeah. And I think that's an important thing that they would think about, because they probably have to balance the classics. You know, everybody knows Amazing Grace and Mighty Fortress and, you know, some good Fanny Crosby stuff. But there are other newer songs being written, and some are catching on, and you want your hymnal to be used for a long time. You don't want it to just be helpful that year, but you want it to have some staying power. So you want to include some newer songs that are coming in, but a lot of those, they might come in and then they might go back out, and not many folks remember them. I mean, there's always going to be hymns in a hymnal that a church doesn't sing, because I don't think any church sings every single hymn in their entire hymnal.
If Chuck stays here long enough, we will.
Oh, that's a good joke. That's a good one, that's a good one, okay.
That's really funny to point out, because Chuck will say, oh, hey, this is a great hymn in your hymnal. And I will say, oh, okay, we've never heard it. And he'll say, but it's in your hymnal. And I'll say, well, we haven't sung them all yet.
I think also gotta remember, the publishing company wants to sell hymnals.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And from that business perspective, it's on a broad range of music
Yeah,
that will reach a pretty broad audience.
yeah, yeah. And so in their research,
Plays into it.
yeah, if they learned that, you know, this random hymn from this previous hymnal, nobody's singing it, we'll let it go. It's not like they're erasing it from history. You know, we can still sing it, we can look it up, it's on the internet has everything. But if we're gonna choose just the ones for our new hymnal, if no one's singing that one, we'll let it go. So it's kind of interesting to look through different editions of, and I just, you know, I look at the Baptist hymnals evolution, and you can watch a hymn kind of jump in for a couple editions and then jump out. Or you think, oh yeah, that hymn is definitely in there. Oh, it's not in here.
It's like the one we're singing on Sunday.
Which one are we singing on Sunday?
Rock of Ages
Rock of Ages.
is not in the green hymn.
So Rock of Ages isn't in our newest Baptist hymn.
Really?
Oh.
Remember.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's always, it would be hard to be on like a hymnal committee, because you want to include classics, but also new ones, and how do you find that balance? Yeah.
Stuart, how much would denominational, interpretation
Yeah.
feed into a hymnal? I know this says Baptist hymnal, but you have hymnals that are across the board, so I'm assuming that plays
Yeah.
into that,
Yeah.
the songs that you would choose.
I think it would inform the hymnal publishing committee which ones they choose, because they know our churches, like our potential, let's say Baptist customer churches, they probably sing these ones, so we'll include them. And the Methodists would probably do the same,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Well, theology definitely plays a part. So
You're right,
There
yeah.
are gonna be certain hymns in a Roman Catholic hymnal that would be counter to
Mhm.
what Baptist teaching is. So those won't find their way over, and vice versa.
Yeah,
How many songs we're gonna put in this new hymnal? Let's start with a few.
well, we can make as many as we want to, but, paper costs money, so we don't want it to, and no one wants to hold a big tome of a hymnal in the pews, so you have to kind of trim it down.
be digital.
A digital hymnal, yeah. Bill, what were you gonna say?
We're creatures of habit, we
Mhm.
like what's familiar.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to put on a pair of shoes, you don't choose the new ones that don't fit well yet.
Yeah,
So, we need to stick with a bundle of old familiar things.
mm-hmm, yeah. And that's why it's interesting to look at each hymnal and to see the balance of the old familiar kind of classics, and then ones that were more recent, like by the Gaithers, or these days, the Gettys write a lot for newer hymnals.
I was reminded when Teresa mentioned Craggy, and in those hymn sings, the hymns that they shout out with the page number. And there's a hymn that probably next to Because He Lives, it's I'll Fly Away.
Uh-huh.
And it is not in either of our hymnals, but it was very popular at Craggy. Partly because of the verse that says, when the shadows of this life have gone, I'll fly away.
Like a bird from these
prison
prison bars that's
I'll
flown.
fly away.
How powerful that would be for
But
them to sing.
It's a really catchy hymn song.
Yeah, yeah. And that reminds me, I was trying to think, what are some of the songs that I'm always surprised weren't in the hymnals, and I'll Fly Away is not in this one. Yeah, I don't know if it's in the 75 or the 56, maybe not. It's always interesting to see what kind of makes the cut, because the decision, and just like writing a hymn is a product of the moment of that time, also choosing the hymns and the hymnal is a product of that time. Yeah, let's see, is there the one in here, like, God of outer space? Is that one in here? You know that one? It was a hymn inspired by the moon landing. It might have been in the previous hymnal. I'll look it up. But it's a funky one that nobody really ever sings anymore. Anyway, we'll keep talking about this over the next few weeks as we conclude our hymn series. And a good reminder that Psalm 96 verse 1 says, sing to the Lord a new song. It doesn't say, only sing to the Lord the old songs you already know, but also sing to the Lord a new song.
Thanks, Joe.
Even though, because I'm old, I don't like new stuff. But I have to let myself be challenged to new blessings. So, take this hymn Or is it a song, or it doesn't matter? Take this hymn, gospel song, and let it inspire you. Is it old? Is it new? Is it contemporary? It doesn't matter. It's got a good message, and it fills your heart with the strength that you need to face tomorrow. So I hope you'll sing it a little more closely from now on. Next week, we'll be talking about and singing In the Garden. So go in peace to love and serve the Lord.